So the Sixers are officially back. I am going to tell you exactly how and why they are back, including the emergence of a young all-star who seems to be finally realizing, hey, I'm that guy every single night. Also, we'll talk about a couple of the role players who have solidified themselves and are finally doing what they were paid to do. We'll talk about the Sixers' upcoming stretch and what we need to look out for. Can they really sustain this level of success in the coming stretch, the next few games? And we'll talk about Jimmy Butler. Is there any world where the Sixers should go out and try to trade for Jimmy Butler amidst the new reports? We'll get into it all, but welcome into Philly Take with RB. I am RB. Do me a huge favor, like this video if you do enjoy this coverage, and subscribe to the channel. Hope everybody had an amazing holiday. I know we haven't done a video here in about a week, but we've been keeping up with the live shows. Tap in live with us every game, pregame, live game, and postgame. And man, yesterday was the biggest win of the season, right? There's no doubt about it. Sixers page posted here on Twitter, got you a gift, and it's Tyrese Maxey handing the Boston Celtics an L. Handing the Celtics an L because the Sixers played better. They bullied them the entire game. I posted a couple clips and a few things online, and Celtic fans are flooding the comments. Oh, this and that. You only beat us by 4 points and Drew Holiday was out. I don't care, right? If that was reversed and that was flipped and the Sixers had almost made a comeback and they had trimmed a lead from 16 down to 3 and almost won a game, but they had guys hurt, Celtics would be saying, hey, you just still can't catch us, right? You can't beat us. How long has it been since the Sixers just went out there and played loose and comfortable in a big-time game with a lot of pressure and just got it done? They never show up in the big game, and yesterday they did. They shocked the world as a 10-point underdog. Great Christmas slate of games, by the way, but the Sixers, after yesterday, are back. That was a statement win. That was the win of the season. It was monumental, and we look at the updated NBA standings. Oh, look at that. Sixers are creeping up on the last play-in spot. They started out the season at 3-14, and when they hit that rock bottom and Joel Embiid still wasn't playing, we said, hey, man, might be time to chalk it up. Might be time. Like, is there any hope? Is there anything? And now it's not even New Year's yet, and the Sixers have won 8 out of their last 11 games, albeit against a lot of bad teams, right? But you got to start somewhere. And the one thing that we have all consistently said, including myself, even when I was down on the team saying they were done, is, well, if they can get Joel Embiid back for a consistent stretch, if they can get these three on the floor together, because, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was only the third game that has been started and finished by the core of Maxey, George, and Embiid. Do you know how crazy that is? It is almost New Year's, and they have only played 3 full games together. But now we're starting to get a glimpse of that potential, what they can do. They're scratching the surface. Oh, wait, Joel Embiid looks a bit healthier. Oh, wait, Tyrese Maxey is establishing his confidence, and that's the main reason why the 76ers are back. We know that Maxey has it in there. I say it time and time again. Maxey should not have to be told as a 24-year-old, hey, go out there and dominate, right? It's no longer you're on the leash, then we'll tell you when to go out there and take over a game. Maxey is finally regaining his confidence, and I know it's been tough for everybody on the team. One night you're playing with the stars, one night you're playing without. One night Maxey's the one option, one night he's the third option. Tyrese Maxey is now going out there despite whoever else is on the floor with him and saying, give me the rock. And most importantly, he's doing it late in games and taking over, right? There's times where it doesn't have to just be on Joel Embiid. There's a reason that they put Maxey, George, and Embiid together. There's a reason that they gave Maxey a max extension because he can be that guy. He's an all-star player. And in the last 5 games, he has taken over in crunch time, especially yesterday, hitting big step-back threes, taking control of that after timeout play where Nick Nurse had Maxey going downhill. He juggled it a bit, but somehow regained possession of it and just got it up. Like, those are high IQ plays, man, and they're clutch plays. And in the last 5, Maxey's averaging 31 points per game, almost 5 boards, almost 7 assists. He's not turning the ball over as much. He's hitting his 3-pointers. Oh, and by the way, while we're always hyper-focused on Maxey's offensive skill, he's actually really picked it up on the defensive end. He's done a really good job contesting some of these smaller guards, getting up at the point of attack, and he's making big things happen, man. And I think Joel not having all that burden on him has helped it shift to Maxey and, just that capability, right? Being the one option at times in the offense has really helped out. And keep in mind, when you look at this game yesterday, man, like Paul George did not play good. If Paul George had had 3 more made buckets, or let's say he had one good stretch in his game yesterday, Sixers blow this Celtics team away. So I still think they haven't scratched the surface. And if PG can be more consistent, there's no reason that this core can't keep it going, man. Maxey's been really impressive. He regained his confidence. And another guy that has definitely regained his confidence, maybe not only that, but his shot as well, is Caleb Martin. And after the game yesterday, Maxey's doing an interview, and Joel Embiid comes over in the background, and he calls Caleb Martin the Boston Killer. And damn right he is, right? Remember when, Joel Embiid went out and pretty much forced the Sixers ownership to get a guy like PJ Tucker? He said, go get me PJ Tucker. They got him. And a lot of people, including Daryl Morey, said, we need guys that can stack up against the best teams, right? When they signed Caleb Martin, it was, can he help you beat the Celtics? Well, guess what? He is literally the Celtics killer. I saw a stat earlier today on Twitter. It was just something about how many games he's had, I think, with like 6 or more threes against Boston, and how it's like 5 more games than the next team. What he does against Boston is unreal, and he had his best game of the season by far. I know he's dealing with the shoulder impingement, and he's coming back from that, and he opened up about how tough it was, and honestly, it felt like he had Fultz syndrome. Markelle Fultz, lose my entire shot, but he's been impacting the game defensively. He's making smart plays. He's giving you quality minutes, and to hit 7 threes in a big-time game like that, it just helps out the core. Like at every single season, every single point, we always say, when can they get the high-quality role players who can come to Philly and not forget how to shoot, who cannot forget how to play ball? And for some point, it looked like Martin and even Kelly Oubre were doing that to begin the season, and Kelly Oubre's been fantastic. Last couple games have been rough, but he's finding himself. I thought he was almost long gone. Kelly surprised me a lot. Caleb Martin, I always really, deep down believed he would find it, but he had to get healthy, and he finally is healthy, and he's playing out of his mind. So shout out to Caleb Martin as well. Another guy we have to give a lot of recognition to is Guerschon Yabusele. I cannot begin to tell you how proud I am of this guy to be out of the league for 6 seasons, right? This is your last shot. You're throwing it against the wall. You have a big moment in the Olympics, a pretty good stretch, and Sixers sign you for a minimum. They have to get you out of your current contract. It was a whole mess. And Guerschon is reminding me of Kelly Oubre from last season, right? Late signing, minimum, not expecting a lot, maybe can vie for some minutes and, just go battle, right? And see what you can do. And I know we talked about him potentially being the starting power forward because Sixers didn't have anybody, right? And they probably still don't. But what Yabusele has done this season, man, is impeccable. It is incredible. It's one of the best stories in the league this year. 25 plus minutes played this season when Guerschon's in, 13.7 points per game, 7 rebounds, 1.3 steals, 51% from the field, and almost 39% from 3 on 5 attempts in 11 games. So Guerschon Yabusele, when he gets the minutes, when he gets the opportunity, now he's coming off the bench. Earlier he was starting. He's been using a lot of different roles, right? He's playing backup 5. Whatever you ask this guy to do, my favorite part is that he just goes out there and he leaves it on the line. He just battles, just like Kelly did last year. Not a lot of expectation. We need you to step up in this role or that role, and he does it. And yesterday, he had a big revenge game against the Boston Celtics. Now, the question is, what do they do moving forward? Because I'm almost at a point, man, where I'm looking at Yabu like, they need to find a way to re-sign this guy. He's that good. It's no longer a project or a phase. Like, he's been really, really good. He was huge in that Celtics Christmas game, and maybe a bit of a revenge moment for Guerschon with the team that let him go. But Guerschon Yabusele can only make $5.69 million this offseason per Derek Bodner in terms of cap space. However, they could go and use one of the exceptions like the taxpayer mid-level or try to, move some things around and, maybe even trade somebody else and open up more space. So there's a lot that can happen from now until then. And yes, he's probably making a big market for himself, which I'm happy. I'm really genuinely happy for the guy. But should the Sixers find a way to bring Yabu back? I think they have to. I love this guy, man. He's got all the qualities of a role player that you want to see. He's put his head down. He's going to work. He continues to talk about how much he appreciates Philly and the crowd loves him, just like Kelly Oubre, man. So Guerschon Yabusele has been fantastic. Love this guy. I think he has been one of the most consistent, underrated players on the Sixers and in the NBA this season. And I think they need to find a way to keep this guy around if they can. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Paul George and Jimmy Butler. All right. Mike O'Connor put this on Twitter because there's a lot of uproar, especially after yesterday. Paul George goes 4 for 15, and he either has games where he plays really, really good off the charts or he's non-existent. He's a make or miss kind of guy. And I still think he impacts the game more defensively, which Mike kind of hits on here. He says, if you spend every Sixers game angry about George's contract because he doesn't score 30, you're making yourself miserable. They are 9-9 with him, 2-8 without him. He's been their best defensive player by a mile. His three ball isn't falling, but he's been good in all other aspects. And you know what, man? I think I agree. I've been frustrated with PG at a lot of points, but you know what, man? When you think about giving a guy $52 million, you know, first thing that comes to your mind is, hey, he's got to be a prolific scorer. He's got to put up 30. But does he really? Does he really with the Sixers team right now? I mean, we look at Paul George, man. I mean, yes, he's shooting 31% from three, which is not good enough. He's going to have to step it up. But he's averaging 16 points per game almost. He's averaging 4.9 assists. He's averaging 5.7 rebounds. And he's also been the best defender on the team by a mile. 1.8 steals per game, playing some high-level defense on guards and wings. And, I mean, he's just really been their best perimeter defender by a long shot. And he's constantly forcing turnovers and helping the Sixers get out in transition to quick buckets on the other end. He's doing a lot of the little things, and I get it. A role player making 50+ million is annoying. But also, you got to look at what's best for the team. We know this is the dynamic now, right? It's Embiid and Maxey. Let them run the two-man game. Matter of fact, there's times where, you know, I try to see PG go on an island one-on-one, and I'm like, just give the ball to Joel. Let him operate from the elbow. Let Maxey and Embiid run that two-man game. Stuff it right down the middle of the lane, and just do what works until they cannot stop it. You know what I mean? Just keep on going. Until you have to do something else. And I think Paul George needs to just be able to spot up, hit those threes. If he starts up in that 3-point percentage and he gives you 18, 20 a game, then this is exactly the dynamic that you need that will work, that will be a good, you know, method, a good strategy going forward into the playoffs, especially with Martin and Yabusele and Oubre starting to play like this. So I think when it comes down to the whole news about Jimmy Butler, I don't know if I would trade Paul George for Jimmy. I don't think I would right now. There's a report going around that the Heat would like to prefer receiving win-now players in a trade for Jimmy Butler. Then on Christmas, we get a bomb saying that Jimmy Butler wants a trade out of Miami ahead of the February 6th deadline. And a lot of people are now asking, you know, should the 76ers trade for Jimmy Butler? Should they make a reunion? Should they get him back and try to get off the long-term contract of PG and Jimmy Butler? Here are the contracts. Paul George making, as we know, $50 million for the next 4 seasons. And Jimmy Butler is seeking a new contract. Matter of fact, I think wherever he ends up going, he wants one more contract. So that's very risky for a guy who's been injury prone as of late. He's 35 going on 36. He's making $49 million this year and then 52.4 on a player option, but he'll probably opt out looking for a longer contract. So yeah, I don't think I would trade for Jimmy, as much as it sounds weird, because I was the advocate, you know, this offseason before. If I had to pick between PG and Jimmy, who would it come down to? I think I would have went with Jimmy, but looking at where the situations are at now, Jimmy continues to get hurt. He doesn't have as much spark as he used to, and I'm not saying he's not a good player, because he is. If we look at the stats, I mean, he's still having a pretty good season. He's having pretty good numbers, right? 18.5 points per game, 4.9 assists, 5.8 rebounds, very similar to Paul George. And he is shooting a better 3-point ball right now, 35.7% from three. But you look at the last couple of situations, how it's ended, right? They got to the finals. They weren't able to get over the hump. And I think Paul George's defensive capabilities, his defensive instincts have been better than Jimmy Butler's this year. So I like what Paul George is doing. And the last thing I'll say about it is I think when it comes down to team building, guys have to be willing to accept their role. That's one thing I'll give Paul George credit for. You know, everywhere he's been, he's always been one of the main two guys or the guy. And I feel like this year he's not complaining about his role. He's not trying to have any type of ego. Sometimes he's a little bit too chilled out and I want to see more aggression, but he hasn't once said, like a James Harden, hey, I need to be the second guy. I need to be the first guy this night. Paul George just goes out there and adapts to what he needs to do. He's hustling on the defensive end, and I really like what he's doing right now, man. I really do. And I mean, look at the 76ers, you know, Paul George is still putting up some of the best numbers on this team. So when it all comes down to it, man, would I go out and trade for Jimmy? No, I don't think I would. The only potential upside would be that you could get an out on the contract after this year, right? If you tried to go all in and you made a move and let's say it didn't work out and the season went down the tubes and things just weren't working, then you could get off, you know, maybe trade the rest of the players that you want with the big contracts and, you know, kind of start over. But I just don't see them there. Now I think the Sixers are trending upwards. I think when you look on to the next couple of games, right? I mean, they're playing pretty bad teams. They should be able to win most of these games coming up. We have the Jazz, the Blazers, the Kings. So they should be able to put together a stretch of wins here. The Nets coming up. So Sixers can really get back close to 500 as they enter the new year. And it's a really good spot to be in. They're playing good basketball. They believe in each other. I think they're on the right trajectory where they want to be right now. Pat Riley put out a comment today saying that they're not trading Jimmy Butler, but of course he's trying to do damage control. But give me your thoughts down below. How do you feel about everything? Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.